Hello, sports fans. Welcome to Super Sports Central. Today we have Sports News episode 58. So, we'll be covering the four major sports plus college football. So, starting off with the NBA. Ben Simmons has returned to the Philadelphia 76ers because he is losing $360,000 for every preseason and regular season game he misses. And the 76ers are not close to trading Ben Simmons. I know this sounds pretty unlikely, but maybe Ben Simmons can work it out with Philadelphia so he can stay. But I doubt it, but I do think he'll have to end up playing in Philly this season. The NBA season starts next Tuesday, October 19th. There's two regular season games scheduled for opening day. We have the Nets visiting the defending champion, the Bucks, and we have the Warriors going into Los Angeles to play the Lakers. So over to the NHL. Their season starts today. We're at the time of recording this. The Penguins are visiting the Stanley Cup champion, the Lightning. And the two newest NHL franchises, the Seattle Kraken, are going into Las Vegas to play the Las Vegas Golden Knights. So the Rangers and center Mika Zibanejad agreed to a 8-year, $68 million contract extension. He's earning about $8.5 million a season. Panthers and captain Alexander Barkov agreed to a 8-year, $80 million contract extension. Maple Leafs forward Austin Matthews will miss the first week of the season recovering from wrist surgery. And Avalanche forward Nathan MacKinnon has tested positive for COVID-19 and will miss his team's first few games. Let's go over to the MLB. So, 3 of the 4 playoff series have ended. The Red Sox defeated the Tampa Bay Rays. Christian Vasquez hit a key walk-off home run in the 13th inning in Game 3 to give the Red Sox a 2-1 series lead. And then in Game 4, they won the series. The White Sox and the Astros. The Astros beat the White Sox today, clinching the series. So it's going to be Red Sox against Astros in the ALCS. In the NLDS, the Dodgers and Giants. The Giants currently have a 2-1 series lead. Both teams are so good. Logan Webb threw a gem in Game 1, going 7 2/3 innings. No walks, no runs, and 10 strikeouts. The Dodgers won Game 2, and the Giants won a pitching duel in Game 3. So it's still wide open for either team to win because either team is built to come back from a series. I still think it could be the the Dodgers, so hopefully I'll at least have one series correct in the ALDS series, so hopefully it's the Dodgers. The Brewers and the Braves. The Braves beat the Brewers today, 5-4. Freddie Freeman hit a clutch go-ahead home run in the 8th inning. The Brewers' bats were very quiet this series. They only scored 6 runs in 4 games. However, the pitching allowed them to put them in a place to win. They gave up on average 3 runs a game. So, I mean, the Brewers could have won the series if they hit. So, end of the playoff updates. The Yankees are attempting to keep Aaron Boone at their manager position. Braves outfielder Jorge Soler was removed from the playoff roster after testing positive for COVID-19. Outfielder Christian Pache replaced him. Red Sox pitcher Eduardo Rodriguez and Tampa Bay Rays outfielder Austin Meadows set a record for longest postseason at-bat since at least 1988 when they started tracking how long at-bats were, pitch-wise. The at-bat was 17 pitches long, and it ended up with Rodriguez striking out Austin Meadows. The NFL. Let's go over to the NFL. Steelers wide receiver Juju Smith-Schuster will miss the remainder of the season with a shoulder injury. And he will be forced to have surgery, which will end his season. The Eagles placed tight end Dallas Goedert on the COVID reserve list, putting him in question for the Eagles' Thursday night football game against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Chiefs placed running back Clyde Edwards-Helaire on the injured reserve with an MCL sprain he suffered in the Chiefs' loss against the Bills on Sunday Night Football. Tua has been activated from the injured reserve and he's returned to practice. Tom Brady does not expect his thumb injury to be a concern going into Thursday night's game against the Eagles. San Francisco 49ers rookie quarterback, 3rd overall pick Trey Lance has a knee sprain and will be reevaluated at the end of the week. The Giants had horrible luck in their game this week against the Cowboys. Not only did they lose the game, but Daniel Jones left the game with a concussion after taking a hit to the head. Saquon Barkley has an ankle sprain, rolling his ankle on the opponent's foot. That's really unfortunate. He was just standing up, like walking, and he rolled his ankle by stepping on the opponent's foot. So, very unfortunate for Barkley. And wide receiver Kenny Golladay has a hyperextended knee. Bengals quarterback Joe Burrow has a throat contusion. However, he should be okay to play in the Bengals' next game. And Seahawks quarterback Russell Wilson had surgery on his injured finger. It was a fracture/dislocation, and he's going to miss several weeks. Over to college football. Cincinnati dominated against Temple 52-3. Running back Jerome Ford had 15 carries for 149 yards and 2 touchdowns, including a 75-yard touchdown run. Arizona State beat Stanford 28-10. In this game, Arizona picked off Tanner McKee, Stanford quarterback. It was a pick six because the player who originally picked him off, as he was getting tackled, he lateraled it or tossed it to a teammate behind him, and then that teammate ran it in for a score, making it a pick six. It was probably the coolest pick six I've ever seen. Florida dominated 42-0 against Vanderbilt. Emory Jones had a good game, although he didn't play the whole game. Because Florida was up so big, they didn't want to risk an injury, so they took him out. Jones was 14 for 22, 273 yards and 4 touchdowns with an interception, and he had 5 carries for 40 yards. At the half, Florida was up 21-0, and their coach Dan Mullen was not happy. He was interviewed at the half, and he said a total of 3 words.
Thank you, guys. Coach, we just saw you walking off with both your quarterbacks. What's your message to them?
Yeah, play better.
Okay, fair enough. Vanderbilt, almost 50 plays of offense, but no points. How would you assess your first half defensively?
Awful.
Okay, go enjoy it, Coach.
Wake Forest survives against Syracuse in overtime. They remain undefeated. They remain the only undefeated ACC team. Kentucky dominated against LSU with a 42-21 win. LSU was able to run the ball in this game. They averaged 4.2 yards per carry, and as a team they had 4.2 yards per carry as a team, and they ran as a team for 147 yards. And Kentucky ran like crazy. In this game they averaged 7.3 yards per carry as a team, and they had a team rushing yards of 330. Kentucky running back Chris Robinson had an outstanding game, 16 carries for 147 yards and a touchdown, and he also had 1 reception for 3 yards and a touchdown. Ole Miss holds off Arkansas in an offensive shootout, 52-51. So Arkansas scored on the last play of the game, and if they kicked the extra point, they would have tied the game at 52, but instead they decided to go for 2, and they did not get the 2-point conversion. So Ole Miss won the game, and how ironic when there's a game where there's 103 points scored. So obviously both offenses are firing on all cylinders. It's a defensive stop that wins the game. Arkansas quarterback KJ Jefferson had an amazing game. He was 25 of 35 for 326 yards, 3 touchdowns, and an interception through the air. And he had 20 carries for 85 yards and 3 touchdowns on the ground. So that's a total of 411 yards gained and 6 total touchdowns for KJ Jefferson. So he accounted for 42 of their 51 points. That's crazy. BYU was upset by Boise State, and BYU got their starting quarterback Jaron Hall back from injury, and they still lost this game. Georgia beat Auburn 34-10. Georgia backup quarterback Stetson Bennett had a good game, 14 for 21, throwing for 231 yards and 2 touchdowns. And he was playing because starter JT Daniels is out with a lat injury. Oklahoma beat Texas in the Red River Showdown. Texas was up big early. They scored on their first play from scrimmage. And they had a 21-7 lead at the end of the first quarter, so you knew it was going to be a shootout. Because typically when you have when you have a game involving two teams in the Big 12, it's almost always a shootout, especially when their offenses are as good as Texas and Oklahoma. Oklahoma running back Kennedy Brooks had an outstanding game, including a game-winning score. He was 25 carries for 215 yards and 2 touchdowns on the ground. And Oklahoma put in true freshman quarterback Caleb Williams, so they benched preseason Heisman contender Spencer Rattler, who's not looking like a Heisman contender right now. Caleb Williams, he led the team on a comeback and ended up leading them to the win. He was 16 of 25 for 212 yards and 2 touchdowns. And he had 4 carries for 88 yards and a touchdown. And his touchdown was a key 4th and 1 66-yard touchdown run, which really put the momentum on Oklahoma's side starting their comeback. Texas wide receiver true freshman Xavier Worthy had an outstanding game, 9 receptions, 261 yards and 2 touchdowns as a true freshman. So if he's this good as a freshman, he's going to be great in the future. Iowa beat Penn State 23-20. Penn State quarterback Sean Clifford left the game with an injury. So I'm not here to make excuses for Penn State, but I think if Sean Clifford didn't get hurt, they definitely would have won that game because they had a comfortable lead. Then Clifford got hurt, so they had to put in inexperienced redshirt sophomore Traquan Robertson, and Iowa forced him into making some ill-advised throws, throwing some interceptions, allowing Iowa to pick him off twice, getting the ball, and they were able to score and win the game. And Iowa trusts their defense so much, so there was still time left, and they took a knee on 3rd down, so they had to punt it away. So they punted the ball away, giving Penn State starting field position inside the 10. So obviously a good punt. And then they trust their defense so much that they know their defense can stop them, and they're not going to go march down the field and score the game winner or tie the game on a field goal. So that goes to show how much Iowa trusts their defense. Texas A&M upsets number 1 Alabama, 41-38 on a last-second walk-off field goal. Alabama came to tie the game. Yes, Alabama was down most of the game. And then Texas A&M marched down the field to get into position for the walk-off field goal. And Texas A&M quarterback Zach Calzada had a great game, going 21 for 31, 285 yards, 3 touchdowns, and an interception. So that's it for this video. Like, subscribe, comment, and for the latest NFL injury updates, make sure you watch my, for my NFL recap going, recapping Week 5 in the NFL. Make sure you look for my NFL Week 5 recap. Like, subscribe, comment, and go check out my NFL Week 5 recap.